webinar panel. If the question is outside of the scope of today's discussion, please email them to support@designmanager.com. And lastly, if you miss a portion of the webinar or want to review any of our past discussions, go to our YouTube channel at Design Manager Inc., Design Manager INC. And here you can see a complete listing of all sorts of topics, including short helpful, our quick start videos, short helpful tutorials, and our comprehensive webinars, which we organize into our project management courses, accounting courses, and even all of our weekly webinars as well. As I said, today's discussion reviews the usage of item groups in ProCloud, including inputting them on the item window, typical uses for groups, how they function on proposals and invoices, and even a document suite designed specifically for the usage of groups. So let's get started. Now, first off, item groups are a completely optional echelon in the ProCloud project hierarchy. In fact, if you determine that groups won't be necessary for your business needs, you can completely disable them. The feature is done, you disable them on the Company Advanced Options window, which would help prevent confusion with your team. And here's how you would do so. You click
Brad,
File. Yeah.
real quick, your screen's not showing.
Okay.
I can see it.
Oh.
Sorry, it might be something with GoToWebinar right now, so I'm playing around with the controls too.
It sure looks like it should be shown.
Okay.
Okay, hang tight. I'm restarting that.
Oh, there
Is
we
it
go.
showing now? Okay.
All good.
I'm just going to start over again. Sorry, everyone, for the lack of visuals on the screen. So let's just begin the entire discussion again, and I apologize for wasting everyone's time on this one. Let's hope that GoToWebinar keeps things rocking for us. Okay, let's start again. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our discussion on item groups in Design Manager Pro Cloud. My name is Brad, and I'll be hosting the demonstration today. If you have questions during the webinar, feel free to enter them in the questions pane under GoToWebinar panel. If the question is outside of the scope of today's discussion, please email them to support@designmanager.com. And lastly, if you missed a portion of today's webinar or want to review any of our past discussions, go to our YouTube channel at Design Manager Inc., Design Manager INC, and here you can see a complete listing of all sorts of topics, including our quick start videos, short helpful tutorials, and our comprehensive webinars, which we organize into our project management courses, accounting courses, and all of our weekly webinars as well. Now, as I said, today's discussion is going to review the usage of item groups in ProCloud, including inputting them on the item window, typical uses for groups, how they function on proposals and invoices, and even a document suite that we designed specifically for groups. Okay, let's get started again. Now, item groups are a completely optional tier in your ProCloud project hierarchy. In fact, if you determine that groups will not be necessary for your business needs, you can completely disable the feature on the Company Advanced Options window, which prevents some confusion with your team. So let's see how to do so. As many of you know, go to File and click your Company Information and Settings, which brings us to our Company window. Click the Advanced button along the right-hand side. On the Company Advanced Options window, go over to the General tab, and you can simply uncheck the option for item groups, turning off the feature throughout ProCloud. Now, let's circle back to the concept of the project hierarchy in ProCloud, and let's use the Specifications window, Tree View tab to illustrate. Now, as many of you know, let's grab one of our projects here. The project hierarchy includes the project itself, the locations within the project, the items that are within the location, and lastly, the individual components that comprise the items themselves. What groups do is give us an additional layer within that hierarchy. So let's go ahead, turn that back on, and see what our changes and what new functionality we have. So back to our company information. Jump over to our advanced options, general tab, and let's turn item groups on. We'll go back to the exact same project in our specifications, and let's notice the difference. Right away, we can see a column for grouper name listed for us. On our tree view tab, now we still have our project locations, but within each of our locations, we have our groups. So we have an association of items within our pillow group. The other items that do not have a group associated with them are under the no group selection. Let's jump back over to our item tab. Now, obviously, we could sort our specification window by our groups, jump down to our pillows, and there they are. Notice, even though we have many items between our various pillows, so we're adding our items throughout, by having the group, it doesn't matter what order the reference numbers may be. If we go ahead and sort by our location, Design Manager Pro Cloud's automatically going to then associate those items with the group within that location itself. So groups are very easily entered right on the item window. We can see our group name along our top right-hand side. Again, if you turn groups off, that field simply will not be available for us. Let's go to another item and that doesn't have a group yet, and we'll create one for it. So for our olive tree here, let's go ahead and make an accessories group. Just that easy. And now we can see our olive tree is a solo within the accessories group. And here's a wonderful thing. Just by typing in accessories, the groups are actually a dynamic search. So by simply typing one in, I've now created a group within my group search. So now I can easily and accurately assign groups going forward. So I don't have spelling mistakes or duplicate groups, etc. Okay, so just that easy, we can see how groups are assigned to a particular item and how they work within the project hierarchy itself. So what other functions do groups provide? Well, first and foremost, they allow you to display grouped items as a unit on the proposal and invoice. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let's jump over to our proposal window, back to our timeless townhouse. Let's go ahead and make a new proposal. We'll change our name or phase. Let's make this the entrance hall. Today's date is just fine, so is the modern format. Now, many of you know you can use the tag function within our new proposal and new invoice window to easily select a number of items rather than doing so individually. And we even have a selection for group. So I could go ahead and easily select all of my pillows if desired. But in this case, let's go by location and we'll get everything in the entrance hall. And just like that, we've selected all of the items in the entrance hall for us. Now, as you may expect by now, the group concept flows through the entirety of the process, including our Arrange Item window, which we access by the Layout button. And again, as many of you know, you can reorder your locations within the project for display on the proposal. You can reorder items within the location itself, but you can even reorder entire groups within the particular location. So perhaps I want the pillows to be first in the entrance hall, followed by my accessories. And we'll save that configuration. Now let's go ahead and click OK and see how our proposal looks with the group concept. Remember, your layout changes that we just made flow all the way through your invoice. You don't have to do those changes again for the invoice document. Once it's created on your proposal or the invoice, it'll work for both. So we can see our entrance hall. We've moved our pillow group to be the first listed. We can see the individual pricing for all of them. And very conveniently, the pillows are totaled themselves. Next would be our accessories. There's our olive tree. And then all the other items that are not associated in a group are totaled themselves. As I mentioned at the beginning of the discussion, we have a proposal and corresponding invoice format that is used just to highlight grouping of items. And on our style selection, you'll notice the modern group price only. Let's take a look at the difference here. So now, what Design Manager Pro Cloud is doing is it's suppressing the individual price of the various items. So none of our individual pillows have a price. We're simply just displaying the group total itself. So we can see our pillows, we can see our accessories, and then any other of the items, we can still see those listed as well. So the client's not overwhelmed with a pricing structure. They're just saying, hey, how much are accessories going to cost? How much are pillows going to cost, etc. And you can do that with any number of different group typings. It could be artwork, it could be lighting, it could be anything that you would like there. And we'll go ahead and accept that one. Now, this functionality is the exact same in regards to invoicing. So rather than being redundant, let's move on to some other item group concepts. Another extremely helpful use of groups is the ability to craft an item concept with a total price to the client, yet providing full transparency of the price of each piece of the overall concept. Let me use an example to illustrate that concept. Let's jump back on our specifications now and go to a different project, the Coastal Cottage. And I've configured a particular sofa in two different manners. So we have our Keeley slip-covered sofa, which I've crafted as a single item, but it's comprised of a multitude of various different components that need to be ordered separately, purchased, etc. Now, this will be a single price to the client, although some of the services, freight and installation, may be listed individually or totaled at the bottom, but we're still crafting a single price to the client. And this may be perfectly acceptable to many clients. But by using groups, I've also crafted our Keeley slip-covered sofa as a group itself, and I'm showing all of these items are actually the individual components from the previous item example. So using groups allows us to total the individual pieces of the proposal and invoice, yet provide full detailed pricing of the sofa to the client. Let's go see how this is going to appear on the proposal itself. We'll jump over to our proposals, we'll go to our Coastal Cottage, and we'll add a new one. Now we'll select our individual item for our Keeley sofa, and we'll also use our group tag as well to get the other items. And there we go, easily selecting all of them simultaneously. Click OK, and let's take a look. So now method one, where we have a singular item, we can see the total price of the item, the summation of all of those components, again, installation being broken out separately, for a total price of $44.09 and change. But the group method allows us to have the Keeley slip-covered sofa as a group, and then we're showing all those constituent pieces all priced separately. There's our installation and labor, again, also being listed, and then we have the exact same total. So the pricing is the exact same in ProCloud. We're just displaying it to the client in a different manner. This really allows us to provide a price of the entire design concept and each constituent piece individually. Just provides another useful layer of flexibility when presenting to our client. Okay. Now, for more information on proposals in general, be sure to check out our project management course number 1, Proposals, where we cover a lot of these topics in far greater depth. Another function of groups is to use them as an additional, let's call it, data point. Let's take a look. If we use the specification search, which many of you know is accessed by going to your specifications window and clicking the spec search button along the bottom toolbar, we can input a project. Let's grab our timeless townhome. And then we can add an additional parameter of our group. And if we just type in pillow and click find, the spec search window is going to identify all specifications for the selected project and that have the group of pillow listed for us. And again, as many of you know, from here we can export a copy. We have a multitude of ways to print out the information here. Let's imagine we want to look at some profitability for our pillows.